Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited today because we are going to be baking and decorating some vulva cupcakes. Oh yes. I love baking and I love sexual anatomy, so it's a win-win. This video is sponsored by Durex and the Durex Naturals Intimate Gel. It's all about getting comfortable talking about lube and having open and honest conversations about sexual discomfort so none of us have to have uncomfortable sex. And it's about getting comfortable with moist. How do we feel about the word moist? I used to love the word moist, but I think for me it was more of a statement because everybody seemed to hate the word moist and find it a bit gross. So I was just like, I love it. I love moist. But now I think I'm mostly just like indifferent to it. In a sexy situation though, I'm not a fan of moist. I prefer wet. But yeah, the word moist can be a bit of a controversial one. How do you feel about it? Thank you to Durex for sponsoring this video. Do not worry, none of this lube is going on the cupcakes. The lube is for my vulva. And I was actually inspired to make vulva cupcakes by the School of Sexuality Education, and they go into schools and teach sex ed, so shout out to those guys. And now, without further ado, on with the baking! Had a fair bit of experience with sexual discomfort when I was a teenager, when I was just starting out on my sexual life. And I still do now and then, but I'm much better now at communicating about it and like not being ashamed of it. But oh boy, was I ashamed of my own vaginal dryness when I was younger. Not all the time, but quite often I would find sex really uncomfortable and I didn't feel like I could say anything to my partner. I just felt like I had to put up with it until it was over. And of course, in my mind at the time, when sex is over, that's when the person with the penis ejaculates, which now I know isn't the case, and sex can begin and end with all sorts of different things happening. You might just be tired. You might just be like, cool, I feel satisfied. I'm done. Sex doesn't have to end with an orgasm or an ejaculation. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I don't think I spoke to any of my friends about it. Definitely didn't speak to my partner about it. And although I've never faked an orgasm, I definitely like faked enjoying the sex for that long. It was tough. And I think in my head, I'd internalized the idea that lube was for like medical purposes and also for like post-menopausal people. But that is not the case. Nuh-uh. And then I think also lube can be categorized as it's to spice things up because you've got like different flavored lubes as well that exist. But it can be all of those things, but it also can sit somewhere in the middle where it's just like a part of your sexual routine. And that's what it is for me now, honestly. The lube comes out pretty often. And I think for me, the whole not communicating about what my vagina was up to, what I needed, what I liked, that I was done, that I'd had my fill. I think I was unable to talk about it because there's so much silence and shame and stigma around our bodies and around sex in general. Like, I wasn't taught this stuff in school. It wasn't a part of my sex education, how to communicate and also how the body works. And also that you can ask for what you want. And as a society, we also tend to put the pleasure of men and people with penises over those of women and people with vulvas. And that sucks. And sex, if it's something that you're interested in, if it's something that you want, can be this amazing, wonderful, pleasurable thing. And yet pleasure is very rarely the focus of sex ed and of conversations that we have in like the broader narrative that we tell ourselves about sex in society. When I think back to school, the conversations around virginity, which is a whole scam in itself, like it was all about that it's going to hurt. There was this expectation that sex was going to be uncomfortable, and whether it is or isn't, it doesn't help if you go into having sexual experiences with the notion that it's going to be painful, that it's going to hurt, rather than like, this could be really good, this could be really fun, and here are some ways to make it better. And one of those things is lube. A lube, 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 lube. I definitely put more milk in the vanilla one. That was the one I made first, and so it's a bit softer. I prefer the consistency of the chocolate one, but we make do, we make do. So let's talk about vaginal wetness. Oh yeah, I know that's what we all want to talk about. And we also want to talk about it using the language vaginal wetness. Pussy moisture. I'm sorry. We've got these things called the Bartholin glands. Oh yeah, ready for another anatomy lesson? Ooh, that's yummy. This cake mixture and the icing is the only thing I've eaten this morning. Not great. So the Bartholin glands are inside the vagina. There's two of them, one on either side, kind of like really quite close up to the entrance of the vagina. And those glands is where we secrete our vaginal lubrication, our natural lubrication. These glands, because they are kind of close to the opening of the vagina, if you are using a menstrual cup, you could still get wet. You would still be able to feel your wetness. You would still be able to access your natural wetness if you're using a menstrual cup, because the menstrual cup wouldn't be blocking the Bartholin glands, in case you're curious. And yes, you can have sex whilst on your period with a menstrual cup in. Not penetrative sex, mind you, but you can have other kinds of sex that involve the exterior, the vulva area, which is what we are creating today. And the thing with vaginal wetness is that it changes throughout your cycle. You might have drier days than others, more wet days than others. I don't know if you've ever experienced like sometimes you're just like, here comes all of the moisture, and other times you're just like, nah, not happening. I also find that I am quite dry in the vagina area. If I'm dehydrated, anybody else? I don't know if I'm like making that connection in my head or if it's real. Drink water, guys, really important. But then sometimes I've just found that I have no idea why my vagina is not responding in the way that I want it to. And that's where lube comes in handy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Vaginal dryness is completely normal and absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. I was really ashamed of it for ages, didn't talk to anybody about it, but now I feel really comfortable talking about it with my friends, but also like with my sexual partner, which is very important. It's just this thing. It doesn't feel like a big deal if I'm like, nothing's really happening down there. It doesn't reflect on how aroused I am. It doesn't reflect on how I feel about my partner. It's just something that we are both aware of that could happen. And sometimes it might be like, not really feeling it mentally either. But other times I'm like, yes, I really want this. But my vagina is like, ha 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 ha, nice try. And that's where lube comes in. Beautiful, beautiful. Can you see those other cupcakes up there? I did a second batch, and so those ones are a bit warmer. They've probably cooled down by now, but let's just focus on these ones because these ones fit on the plate. So as part of this campaign, Durex did some research and surveyed a whole bunch of people, and they found that 1/3 of adults feel uncomfortable talking about sex, especially with their partners. And even though I understand this, because it is hard, it is difficult, even now, like with me, someone who like talks about sex all the time and like, outwardly seems really comfortable with it. Even I, like, when it comes to communicating things that maybe we haven't talked about before or are just coming up now, like, even I'm like, okay, how do I approach this? Like, how do I have this conversation and like feel really nervous and like, it all just comes out in gibberish. So like, I get it. The communication thing isn't something that you just learn. It's something that you practice. And unfortunately, you have to practice by doing it. If you've never had a conversation about sex with your partner before, it can be really difficult to start, but it is really not good practice to be having sex with somebody who you don't feel comfortable talking about sex with. Does that make sense? Another thing that they found is that half of adults experience discomfort during sex as a result of vaginal dryness, and over a third won't open up to anybody about their issues. This makes me really sad because you are normal. It is completely normal and nothing to be ashamed of. And also they found that over half of us think that vaginal dryness is a taboo topic, even though for 2/3 of our menstrual cycle, we are naturally drier. Right, let's make some vulvas. I don't know where to start. I've got chocolate, I've got blue, I've got pink, and I've got white. I've got some chocolate dots, which I was going to use as the clitori. Is clitori the plural for clitoris? Clitorises. Clitori. We're going clitori. Got some chocolate strands because I want to make some pubes. And then we've just got hundreds and thousands because hundreds and thousands are great. What will they represent? Multicolored pubes. Who knows? I had a panic about what vulvas look like and how to create a cupcake kind of vulva. And the School of Sexuality Education, who I mentioned at the beginning, who inspired this creation, this future creation, sent me a little art pack with instructions. That's how basic I am. I'm the kind of person who needs instructions and recipes for everything. This is why I'm very good at building IKEA furniture, but it also means that I'm not very good at eyeballing a vulva. Like, I need specific instructions to make a vulva, apparently. Right, no, we're gonna start with some blue. Why not? Ooh, this kind of hole in the icing tube could make some good labia. Come on, pink icing. Ooh. All right, it's wonky, but that's fine, because our vulvas aren't symmetrical. You can have one labia bigger than the other. You can have your inner labia that protrudes. It is bigger than your outer labia. It's all good. Probably not good if your labia is blue though. This is just an artistic representation. Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Maybe these chocolate things are a bit too small to be the clit, but hey, clits also come in all shapes and sizes. Oh my God. Oh, it's stunning. It's stunning! Let's get some pubes on it. Ta-da! Is that not just the best thing you've ever seen? Well, that's one. Let's put you up the top. Oh no, stay on, clit. Let the vulva decorating montage begin! Eat one of them. Oh yeah, that's very sugary. All right, I am really pleased with my Vulva Cupcakes. So I added a urethra and a vagina on each of them, not to scale. And then with some of them, the clitoris was like falling down, so I smushed it back up. But actually, it kind of looks like a clitoral hood. So still anatomically correct. And then, because Durex want us to be getting comfortable with moist, of course, I also wrote moist. And yes, I had to check how it was spelt because I panicked. Before I put these glorious cupcakes into my mouth, I just wanted to share some tips if you are dealing with sexual discomfort. So obviously, lube. Lube is great. There is nothing to be ashamed of if you want to use lube, if you feel like you need to use lube. For me personally, it is a sex staple. And I've been using the Durex Naturals for a while. It is water-based, it is lovely, it is slippery. I'm into it. Other things that you can do is really get to know your body, get to know what you like, what you don't like, and have a think about the different kinds of sex, the different kinds of context, environment, dynamic between you and your partner, different sexual acts. What are some of the things that really hinder your arousal? And have a look at those two different things and see what you can do to try and heighten your arousal, stay in the moment. Being in the moment is so difficult, yet so crucial to our pleasure and our enjoyment and our satisfaction of sex. Already talked about it, but communication. Communication is so key, and we're probably all really tired of hearing it, but it's true. It can be really important to communicate things with your sexual partner, like for certain days in my cycle, I don't get naturally as wet, and so we might want to use some lube. Or things like, even if I'm experiencing vaginal dryness, I am still really into this, and letting them know that. Also, take it slow. You do not have to rush these things at all. Take your time, see how you feel. Things may progress, things may not. There is no need to rush anything. And if all else fails, make some vulva cupcakes to start a conversation about it. Show them this video. It's time for us to take charge of our comfort, because nobody should have to put up with uncomfortable sex. And let's get comfortable with moist. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and thanks to Durex for sponsoring. You can check out the link in the description for more about the campaign and Durex Naturals Intimate Gel. Let me know in the comments if you've had similar or different experiences to me with vaginal dryness and feeling shame about that, and how you have been able to overcome it if you have. From me and my lovely screaming vulva, I hope that you're well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!